All right, all right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another week of the Coffee and Cigars live stream. We're actually back outside, trying to see if we can get a little bit warm here tonight, and if that's possible. But let's just set up here. How's it going? Hopefully everything's been well. Hope it's been a good week. We've been. Oh, my chair is a little bit falling down. Okay, so how's it going? Hope everything's well. This silly link is still here. We're actually trying to see about getting just a little bit outside. I got the fire ready to go here next to me, so we're going to start up with the fire first because it's a little bit chilly. So I got my grill. I've been using the grill as a fire pit for a little while, and it works pretty well. The nice thing about it is that it's a height, good height. So now I've got some pine from the Christmas tree, and it should go pretty well, I think. Like it's burning pretty well. Mom, how are you, man? Good to see you. Wow, this is the one thing about like Christmas trees. They burn very, very well in April. But we should get enough heat to start the flame and ignite the wood. Oh, this really is burning very robust. But it might burn out quickly, which is a problem. George Brightman's with us. What's going on, George? Ah, yes, yes. I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you like it. It's generating a lot of smoke. Hopefully this will light the wood and we'll get to be rolling. Maybe I should put some other wood on there just in case to get the something that's a little drier. Got some of my hardwood bits here. I think it's getting there. I cut off a couple of the limbs from the tree and, tossed it in here. Tony's with us. What's going on, Tony? How are you doing, man? Good to see you. Where are you tonight? No, just outside the garage, actually, not too far away. Oh, yeah, this is burning fairly nicely now. I should keep my Christmas tree for a long time. Oh yeah, that wood is nice and lit. Wow, this is burning very well. All right, so we got our fire rolling. Fire's now rolling. That's a great thing. And I think that our light is quite bright. Let's turn that down a little bit. I'm gonna change the color temperature so it's not so harsh. Wow, this fire is burning very robust. Like it's robust. It's still burning well. Not too bad. Is that the Ono Live version of the Yule log, says Rusty? Kind of, I think. Kind of. George says, you Jess, now we all need to join. Oh, now all we needed to join is George 1 and Brian, and then Rusty can. Perfect, perfect. We hope for the Oh yeah, there we go. That's on. That's on. I'm still trying to get used to this thing here. Is that the shop chair? Yeah, this is the chair that I made that I showed you guys last week. Speaking. Oh well, we'll go into that in a minute. But so that I'm using it again to see if how I like it. What's Mom saying here? Oh, Rusty. Yeah, yeah. Right on. Right on. Right on. I need to write to StreamYard and tell them that this new interface sucks. I'm feeling that it's a little. Well, we'll go into that. But first, let's make some coffee. We need to have coffee. We need to get rid of that shadow that's on here. That's no good. Probably need to go higher with the angle. Ah, Rusty man, how are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, so the fire is on. Well, I feel like it needs to be attended to, but let's make some coffee first because we've got our coffee to be made. So let's get our coffee kit out. Hope I don't melt my sustainer here. We're just gonna make a simple AeroPress. Just really simple. Oh yeah, that's nice and warm. Get my mug. Yeah, that's good. Oh, and unfortunately, nothing too crazy tonight because I wasn't going to put that. I thought about trying to find the campfire, but I don't have the campfire pot with me, so we're just going to do AeroPress. Really simple, kind of brew tonight. I got some coffee from my friend Marty Portillo down in Honduras. Made this coffee, and I just wanted to just use this already pre-grounded for AeroPress, so relatively fine. Whoops, 36 grams. So 36 grams into here. And I've got the water already preheated. So really, really simple kind of way to brew it all up, just so that it's not so difficult. What I'm going to do is I don't have I have a stir there, but we're just going to pour it in here and just I guess we need to stir it. Let me get a stick. I've got a nice piece of hardwood cut off here that will be burning later. So I'm just going to hydrate, make sure that all the coffee's hydrated. That's good. And now we're just going to add the top to it. And take our mug, invert it, and then now it's just a matter of pressing it. We just want to press it, kind of, it's really, really brewing coffee is relatively simple. We're just going to press down. And what this is going to do, I've got 36 grams and maybe like 4 ounces of water. So maybe 100 mils of water. Normally we're making 12 ounces, 350 milliliters of water. And yeah, there we go. Right. There's a little bit of an air gap. That's natural. That's normal for this type of brewing. So we've got a little bit of coffee in this mug. I probably should raise the. I think that might be better. Might give us better results. Yeah, no shadows or less shadows. Shadows in a different way. Rusty says, speaking of AirPress, you see they released the XL clear version for 8. $89. Oh no, I have not seen that. I've not seen that. Oh, $89 seems kind of expensive. So I pre-measured the ground. I pre-measured the ground coffee. Yes. Well, not really. I just put the hot water in this thermal. I did pre-measure the coffee, but so if you have it all pre-measured, there's nothing really to worry about. So this creates a concentrated brew. So I'm just going to pour the water in to dilute it to bring it to the strength that we need. So this particular thermal will only hold 12 ounces of water of liquid. So, and this is a more or less a 12-ounce cup. So it's all relatively simple to do. So you don't have, so you just kind of fill it. You don't have to worry too much about mussing with it or fussing with it. That's good. That's good. Okay. Oh, now the fire's dying. See, the fire's getting low now. Fire's getting low. The one problem with this kind of wood is that we have to tend to it a lot. I've got some sticks. Whoops, that's not working out. What I also have is some cutoffs and some rags. These rags have been impregnated with tung oil, and rather than worry about them combusting spontaneously in a bin, I just let them spontaneously combust here. And I've got plywood that we need to burn, plywood cutoffs, get rid of. Maybe toxic, but whatever. But at least this way, if these rags burn, they're in a controlled burn rather than like burning down the house at the inopportune. Any time that the house would burn down would be an inopportune time. All right, there we go. So we've got that. So yeah, your George was mentioning about the. Well, not really, because the George asking is a lot of dilution. You remember that we are ratioing the coffee for the 12-ounce serving, right? So even though we're brewing it in less water, the extraction will still work out so that it makes the right ratio for the actual serving. So still, and in this particular case with the AeroPress, our AeroPress recipe is 36 grams to make a 12-ounce cup. So we have 36 grams in the AeroPress, more or less 100 grams of water, 100 milliliters of water. Wait for 45 seconds, stir it, and then press. And that gives you a concentrated brew that you then add the remaining liquid to bring it to your 12 ounces of coffee. And your ratio is actually more, not, it tends to, technically it's heavier than our normal dose, but it works out flavor taste wise to be really nice in this kind of ratio. It's nice and hot. Nice and hot. Craig's with us. What's going on, Craig? XL Clear is not for. Uh, you're definitely much more. I was trying to be generous. I was trying to be generous. Right. So let me just tilt this up a little bit again. We're getting to nighttime here, and the wood is burning, which is good. Okay, so George kind of asked about this chair, right? So this is the chair that I made based off the Concordia chair from Mira Nakashima. So last Friday, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this. I had the opportunity to take a tour at the Nakashima Woodworkers, and so I went up to New Hope, Pennsylvania, and toured it, and I was able to see the actual chair that they make, the one that this is based off. I got to see it in real life, and it was kind of exciting. But it was interesting to see because there's quite a few details that I made differently because I was working from photographs online. So basically, a picture or a photograph that I find on their website, and they basically how it basically did was that they on their website they had some basic measurements, right? Seat height 17 and a half inches. So I was looking at the photographs, side profiles, and I'm thinking, okay, so if this if this is 17 and a half, right, from the bottom of the legs to the seat, the top of the seat, then this is 17 and a half. Then this, whatever the top from that point to the top of the chair, must be, whatever. I worked it out, whatever the height is. I think it was like 23 inch. No, that can't be right. Maybe like 28, 29, 30 inches. And actually thinking about it now, like maybe I could use it to be another like 2 inches lower would be all right. I think I'd be all right with that. But not that it's bad or anything. It's perfectly fine. But to see them do it, like for example, the back is all one piece, right? And I started out with 2 inch slabs to work on this, and this is probably inch and a half by now. But it's really like the ones that they make are like really 2 inches, like it's really thick, and then the the seat bed is significantly thicker than this. So and then of course the legs. I put legs straight, and it's fairly nice this way, but they actually have it at an angle, maybe like at a 10-degree angle, which I think when I sit in their Concordia chair, I think there's greater stability to be had. Like this one's fairly stable. Like I really have to try to work it to try to tip it over on two legs, but it's not too difficult to do, right? I can see if you're getting kind of into playing. Like these seats are designed for like cellists, for chamber players and the flat seat allows you to have expressive movement. Like if you're playing cello, there's nothing here the seat back is far back enough so that your elbows not hitting it or being obstructed, and you've got plenty of room to maneuver. So it's a fairly nice idea, a nice design that I really liked. George says, thanks for the explaining, but I'd like to try the pure brew. Oh, straight from the, yes, 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 of course, of course. It's definitely drinkable, just a little bit heavy, just a little bit heavy. Ooh, our fire is going well now. Now it's actually kind of like, I can feel kind of the pulse in my ear, pressure on the ear. Kind of, maybe too much. Should also pull my little cutoff box away from it. To try to keep everything, try to keep the fire. And here's the nice thing: when you have a grill, right? When you're using the grill in this configuration, like how sometimes, like when we go to a bud's house and we're making a fire, like one of the things is that the fire, of course, is going to be naturally low, and the low, you're always sitting in a position where your knees are forward of your torso, right? That's just how we sit, and the problem is that because the fire is low, your shins and your knees get really hot before your body. And so like you're starting to burn, so you're gonna back up. But by having it elevated like this, the torso gets more heat and it's more even. Like now that I'm sitting closer to it like this, like tonight I'm pretty close. I'm not normally sitting this close, but now there's a nice heat emanating from it, and it's very pleasant. It's very pleasant. So, okay, let's go into our cigar. So tonight's cigar, so on the way back on Saturday from New Hope, I stayed at my cousin's house up there Friday night, and then I came back Saturday afternoon. On the way back, I'm looking around, just driving around, and I happen to be in Elkton, Maryland. And I'm in Elkton because I was actually going to the Harbor Freight sales. I went to almost every Harbor Freight on the way home, just look for this tool that I kind of lagged on and wasn't able to buy, and I still didn't get it. So, but as I'm driving through Elkton, I find I'm looking. I'm also kind of hungry. It's like middle of the afternoon. I haven't eaten, so I'm like, I need to get something to eat. So I find this place that sells cheesesteaks, and I'm like, but I want some place that's going to sit down. I can sit down and eat. This place is carryout. I'm like, what am I doing here? This carryout. This is dumb. I don't want this. But next door was this cigar lounge called Spartan Cigar Lounge, and I was like, oh, there's a cigar lounge. I've never heard of this. Not that I ever looked up in Elkton. I mean, don't know why I would go to Elkton, but I see it and I'm like, oh, let's go and check it out. So I went and checked it out, and they've been around for 7 years. It's kind of a nice place. Looks like a nice place to smoke. Looks like they have, if you look at their Facebook pages, they have seem to have a nice community. And 7 years, they must be pretty good. So I just like was looking at their humidor. The selection is fairly decent. Like not perhaps not as diverse as I would prefer, but there's some interesting stuff. But I thought about getting a couple of different cigars, but I decided at the end of the day that they had their own house cigar. Probably one of these cigars that are made by some random manufacturer that's making whatever. But you know what? I was like, let's try their house cigar. So they had this Maduro Toro. And I was like, all right, let me try that. And it's fairly inexpensive, 650, 675, something like that. So a really great price point. And if it's a great cigar, then even better. But who knows what's going to happen here. Wow, I'm really like, my ear really does feel that. That's weird. Let me go. Oh, and plus I need a pen. Yeah, this fire is burning robust. Like it's still got nice flame. Okay, I'm gonna turn this way because my ear, it feels really weird. I've never experienced this. So I've been doing, I'm working on a project right now to make, what do you call it? I'm making this big air filter to scrub the, what do you call it? To scrub the air of all the particulates. And these are a lot of the cutoffs from the project. Okay, so let's have a look here. We've got our cigar for tonight. Devin's with us. What's going on, Devin? How are you tonight? Good to see you. Craig's having the top 20 Esteli tonight. Oh, wow, man. What's happening? You know, our resident like expert in vintage Cubans is suddenly with modern Nicaraguan. Nice. Well, I hope it works out well for you there. I hope it works out well. George says, when I return, let's ask him to show the wrapper. Oh yes, of course, the wrapper. So there is a little bit of an issue with the wrap. Oh, there's the comment. There's a little bit of an issue with the wrapper. Like I was looking at it today. I bought it on Saturday. I put it. They gave me this bag. I put it in this bag, but the wrapper has cracked. Now I'm. It's just been sitting in the kitchen. I probably should have put a Boveda. I should have probably done better with it. But I figured that the plastic bag would hold it in suspended animation for at least a little while. But I was wrong. But here's the cigar. So fairly nice looking wrapper, I think, except for the part where it's coming up, which we're going to have problems with, I think. Right here is where can you see it? You can't really see it there. Okay, there it is. You can see that it's coming out just a little bit there, but the roll looks nice. I mean, looks fairly decent. A little bit, compared to some cigars we've had that have really, really smooth wrappers. This has slight roughness to it, but nothing that I would think about would be like, oh, that's kind of scary. Take off this foot band. It says Maduro. Craig says that his tatuai is very nice. My father, like if taste memory is good. Ah, nice, nice. I tend not to think that they're very much like my father's cigars, but as long as you're enjoying it, that's the most important thing. Oh, and here's their. Let me show you I kept their cards so that I would remember this cigar and the details about it, or they don't have many details about it. I asked the guy that was working there, I said, what do you know about it? He said, well, he doesn't really know, but this is it, Spartan Cigar Lounge. I think, if you're up in this area, it might be worthwhile to check out right there on Pulaski Highway. So, I think it's a nice, it looks like a nice spot. Like, I think that if I was living in Elkton and that was my cigar shop, I would not be disappointed. Just getting my tool to move stuff around the fire. Oh yeah, fire is good today. For those nights that we had utter failure, this is pretty good. All right, so time to do the cutting. George says, correct, once is made by my father, but typically Tatuai smokes different. Ah, yes. I tend to find that they're a little bit different. Devin says, probably the pepper and chocolate notes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, I've kind of noted that for me, with my father's stuff, it tends to be very much like my fathers tend to have a minerality that I don't necessarily jive with. George says it looks suspiciously like a Rocky Patel. Oh gosh, that that doesn't bode well, does it? That doesn't bode well. Devin says they don't make it. Oh, then don't make it. Then don't smoke it. Yeah, okay. We're just gonna toss it. That would be hilarious, wouldn't it? Okay, we're gonna give it a try. Because we have on this show we have been very pleasantly surprised with Rocky Patel, despite having a proclivity to being very allergic to Rocky. Many, when we first started the live stream about 4 or 5 years ago, Rocky Patel had this thing called the Mareva for the World Championship of Cigar Smoking. And it was this little teeny tiny cigar, and I was like, oh, I can't. It's the world champion cigar, so at least we should give it a try. Even though I was very not into trying Rocky Patel, and you know what? Not just pleasantly surprised, but it was actually a really great cigar. And then, of course, sadly, in the middle of the cigar, it just kind of petered out and died. Like, I mean, not died like just go out of flame, but like died as like became really bad. Like it was like, oh God, not good. I think you can look up the episode on on the on the site. Tony says some milk or vegetable glue can fix it. Oh, this I guess, yes. I've been thinking about making a vegetable glue, like getting some xanthan gum and just mixing it up. I just never got around to doing it. Like I got a big box of xanthan gum. I really should do that. All right, let's do some cold drawing. Now, it could be that, I'm very close proximity to the fire. I don't, I feel like I'm getting like a barbecue smell. I'm almost positive that it's a manure-ish kind of smell now. Very light, easy draw. The draw is very flowing. All right, well, we'll light it up and see. A little bit of sweetness on the palate. Speaking of Rocky, I don't recall them being a big Rocky account. So, well, it could be a Rocky Patel cigar. I don't know. I mean, starting off pleasant, some chocolate notes. I can't say that the first initial puffs are bad or disappointing. So I got handfuls of this wood here. Oh. What I got to be careful of is, since I am burning plywood, it's probably not a good idea to be downwind of the emissions. One thing about on asphalt macadam, the chair does not rotate very easily. Oof. So starting off, pleasant, not bad. Actually, and so I said earlier that the draw was very like loose. Now the draw has tightened up a bit. Actually, the draw has nice resistance. It's got just the right amount of resistance that I'm enjoying. Smoke production is pretty good. Maybe Placencia. I mean, it could be. It could be. Unfortunately, they don't really. The guy that was working the day that I bought this, he didn't really have any information to that he was like, I don't even know. He's like, he didn't even know himself, and I was like, which in that respect, it is a little bit disappointing. Like you hope your tobacconist or the guy that's selling you the tobacco knows their own product, especially when it's their house cigar, right? But I was like, okay, whatever. It's $6. I'll save it for the show and enjoy it then. So it has now a bit of minerality, similar to the minerality of a My Father or a Pepin cigar, which for me is just okay. Like I'm having a similar reaction to this cigar that I would have with a Pepin. It's like it's good, but it's got that minerality and brightness to it that I'm just not a big fan of. So if you are, this could be a great buy so far. Tony says whole milk or half and half heavy cream works great and readily accessible. True. Except I don't have any, have any here. It's terrible. George says looks like it's a 60. Yeah, it could be 60. It definitely. I know I said Toro, but it definitely feels. It feels bigger than a mouth in the mouth than like a Toro, like a 58 or something. George says to stay out of giant sea smoke. I'm trying to. I'm positioned kind of like just back enough from the path of the smoke, and right now it's actually going up and away. So we're good for the moment. We're good for the moment. Devin says the label looked very Illusione or Roma Craft like. Yes, yes. So Illusione, maybe, right? Oh, there's the. Oh, you know what? That is a good point. It does have that Illusione look to it, doesn't it? But it doesn't have. It's definitely not Romacraft. Like you can, the paper is just like Romacraft uses that like what they call wine paper, fancy paper. This is just plain old like regular people paper. Tony says smoking the Aurora 120th anniversary Lancero with the zero wild cherry Pepsi, cherry and vanilla Pepsi. Excellent, excellent. How is that coming along? George says, Craig, that's a good guess, but sort of the same thing on Rocky, since his factory is basically a Placencia operation dedicated to. Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, like right now, it's okay. We're really early into it, but my initial feeling at this very moment is that it's just a cigar. It's a cigar. It has that minerality. It has some of that brightness. It has, and it has a nice construction, good build. The draw is restrictive enough, but I'm not one that's driving with the flavor. Like the flavors don't groove. I'm not grooving with the flavors, right? Again, it's got that my father style minerality, so I have a hard time loving that. Like at the moment, I'm thinking that 625 or whatever, 650, 675, and you need a cigar just to hang out and hang out with your friends. This will suffice, if that's the case, right? But that's because for me, that my father style minerality is not something that excites me. I think that if you like that, then you will probably find that this would be more interesting and more enjoyable for you. Tony says, going well, but already in the second half. Oh, nice, nice. All right, excellent. Craig's asking, is this shop in Stroudsburg? No, no, not Stroudsburg, but Elkton, Maryland, just across the border from at the northern border with Delaware, just across the Delaware state line. So there's Elkton, Maryland straddles the state line with Delaware. Says bigger than a classic Toro. Yeah, it's definitely, definitely. And now the even other parts of the wrapper are starting to come undone. Tony says, so it's not a Maestranza. No, sadly not. Sadly not. But not everything can be, right? Not everything can be. Not everything should be. Oh, we need to add more fire to the fire. Yeah, see, this is where This is why I'm trying to use the chair a bit, because I need to see how it performs. Like if I turn, if I turn my torso like this, right? I'm turn like this and reach down, then it starts to get the chair gets a little bit wobbly. And I think that if I did the angles on the legs, that would mitigate that, right? But because it's all 90-degree verticals, it's not as excellent as it could be. I'm really trying to make an effort with the woodworking thing, not to keep the temptations to keep a lot of like cut ends. You're like these short ends. What am I doing with those? I don't need them. I need to burn them. George says it is a nice white ash. It is. It is. It looks like it's going well in that respect. Ooh. And George says, is Illusione isn't making any $6 sticks? Oh, take a sip of the coffee. All right, we'll get a sip of that in a moment. Paul Craig says that just like as far as web doesn't see, yeah, they don't. That was so. I was looking at that today, and I'm surprised. Like you think that they would talk about their house cigar, but they don't. It seems like a missed opportunity, right? Now, one of the things about this coffee is also kind of a little bit on the brighter side too. So, as a pairing, they're very complementary. Hey, Brian, how is your brother doing? I remember last week he said that one of his really good friends was had passed away unexpectedly and probably not under great circumstances. So, how's he been doing? So, if you're looking that up there, Craig, you must. I presume then there must be a Spartan in Stroudsburg. Like if I'm sitting by the fire, like I am now, hanging out with the guys, it'd be fine. Like if I wasn't in a situation, if I was in a situation where I wasn't thinking about the cigar and like thinking about the cigar and the performance and how I'm enjoying it, I probably wouldn't notice. George says that La Maestranza or box press. Oh man, I love the La Maestranza. I feel as though I'm going through my box rather rapidly. Yeah, like I said, I'm working on this filtration unit. So there's these two guys, Corsi and Rosenthal. They came up with this design for a HEPA level filter by using a 20-inch box fan. You know, the kind you get from like Home Depot or like Lowe's or whatever, the cheap one, the box one. And what they do is they take four of these MERV 13 filters, like the 20 by 20 by 1 inch air conditioned type filters, but the MERV 13, so they've got pretty heavy level filtration. And they figured out that in order to get the right amount of airflow for this 20-inch box fan, you couldn't just use one. Like it would not have enough flow rate. You need to have better flow rate. So by doing, you needed more filter material, because when you're talking about like, uh, if you think about like your home furnace filters, and you think about the different ones that are available, some of them are really kind of thin looking, right? They're very like coarse threaded, coarse woven, and then there's some that are very tight woven. And the tighter your weave to catch the particulates, the greater the resistance of airflow. So in order to get the maximum efficiency out of your 20-inch box fan, you need to have more surface area. And you can do that in two ways. You can have either a bigger filter that has greater surface area, like, for example, let's say you get a 20 by 20 by 4-inch thick, then you'll have enough surface material so that the airflow can go get through it, right? So that there's enough surface material so that the reduced airflow will still equal the output of the fan. Or you can build a box that has multiples of these 1-inch filters. The cost is relatively the same. Like, for example, if you bought a 4-inch MERV 13 20 by 20 filter, it's probably like $75. But if you buy a six pack, it's $75. So you get a little bit more that way. And so I built the one that has the 4, but I modified it to have 5. Because I figured, you know what? If it's good at 4, it should be good at 5. This is America. Bigger is always better. Go big, go hard, or go home. And so they have plans, right? This one guy, they're called the 3D Handyman on YouTube. Has plans for this. So I've been kind of like working on it, trying to figure out how to do it. Because while their plans are like for a simple base and you're sitting on the floor or something, I wanted to fly mine above the workshop on a post, like a big post that's like maybe like 8 feet high. And I want to sit it on top of this post. So I cut the pieces I cut a lot of pieces like a couple months ago. It's just been sitting around trying to think about it. And then finally, the last couple of days, I'm like, I'm going to do it now. And I finally assembled it. I finished the assembly today, and I test fitted. It's flying right now, but without anything in it, just the frame. Hopefully, the box itself is now, so I've got it kind of, it normally orients vertically, but this one I'm orienting horizontally. So the actual frame that's going to hold all the filters actually cantilevers out. I hope I designed it strong enough to withstand the cantilever. I probably didn't. I probably could have done a better job. Now that I'm looking at it, I can kind of see it. And I'm like, maybe it's sketchy. Craig says, yes, same name in Stroudsburg, bigger website. Oh, those Spartans are strong in Stroudsburg. Now, that's what I was hoping to hear a compliment. Yes, they're actually very complimentary. So it is kind of a nice pairing. Uh-oh, my fire is dying. There's my neighbor driving in the background. My neighbor, every time I'm outside doing this live stream, I have some kind of like studio light set up. He must wonder, like, what's up with my neighbor? Okay. We got the offcuts going now. Fire dies down a little bit. It's got to add more. I was burning another fire 2 nights ago, and so there's a big pile of like coals in there. I normally will sometimes just let it burn out, leave the grill open, but I don't know, for some reason at night I was feeling a little bit sketch about doing that. So I didn't. I just put the lid on, and now I've got this huge pile of coals. Maybe tonight I'll just let it burn down. George says, Corsi Rosenthal, you mean Rosencrantz and Guilderstein? I'm not familiar with Rosencrantz and Guilderstein. No, the one that I'm thinking about is actually called Corsi. It's called the Corsi Rosenthal box. You can look it up, and there's a whole thing about it. These guys, that design got really popular during the COVID, and people would build it really simply, where they would just take the 4 or 5 filters, tape them all together to create a box out of the 2020 filters, and then just tape the box fan to the open end, and then blow. I've been running another fan with filters. I've got a big, like, I got another 20 bucks, 20-inch box fan that I put a 4-inch filter. I found a 4-inch filter for really cheap at the restore. So I got that, and then I put a thinner, like Merv 8 or Merv, no, maybe it's Merv 11 filter in front of it. No, it's a Merv 11 filter, and I put a Merv 8 filter in front of it, so it kind of acts as a pre-filter to remove a lot of some of the bigger particulates. The idea is that you really want to get to the Merv 13 and or higher number, because they say that in with particulates, the ones that really are destructive to you are the ones that are zero point 0.3 microns, because those are the ones that can get through a lot of the filters and get into your lungs. So I've been very conscious about dust mask wearing, and like only like certain levels of dust mask. Like there's some people I know, they always talk about like these particular masks that are very popular. They're very lightweight. They're kind of made of neoprene, and they have a filter on the inside, but they're not certified. So they're not NIOSH certified for a certain level of filtration, like the one that I'm using, even though it's a bit bulkier. And then there's Devin says, how do you center balance a piece that big? Not very well. Actually, I'll show it to you. Let's go and have a walk into the garage, because we're right here, right? We're right here. Can I turn this around? No, we're not going to turn around. So I'm going to walk over to the garage. Here's where we normally sit, and up here is the box. So as you can see, my brother a while back installed this 4-post lift. So I'm using the lift post as I built a box around it, right? And then mounted the whole unit to it. So it's actually kind of heavy, because the frame, because I'm using everything that I'm building is using salvage wood. Everything I haven't, all the plywood I've never bought, all this lumber that makes the frame, I didn't pay for it. These are all pallet wood, and I just have to surface them and harvest them and surface them and make them work. Like some of this wood is all kind of, you can't really, I don't know if you can see it, but it's kind of tainted, because it's basically the sheets sat out in the open for like a year, and I just took them and cleaned them up. But since these are hardwoods like oak and poplar, it's a little bit heavy, right? It's a little bit heavy. When I was putting it up there, I was like, oh man, this is kind of heavy. But what I did is that I took, let me get closer. Yeah. I took we can get up. We have to get up here and have a look. But you can, I don't know if you can see this detail, but there's actually, I used dominoes to put the box together. So I used the dominoes, put the box together, so that this would provide not only alignment as well as for the glue, but also to have some extra strength and rigidity. So the box is dominoed together. The top is dominoed to the box. There's dominoes that are being used to more for alignment than anything else. There's a couple dominoes here in the back that run up the spine, that, and then there's like a whole bunch of screws that I screwed in. I put a bunch of screws in here that are driven down, and there's like 4 of them there's 5 of them in the center to hold to the base, to the top of the plate, but then there's like 2 long 4-inch ones into the verticals here. So and this is and these 2 pieces are totally glued. So everything's really, hopefully that's enough, right? So it should be all right, because the filters, those are the filters there, right? They're not too heavy when they get in. So it's really just going to be, and then there's the weight of the fan, and the fan just kind of slides in, right? The fan will slide in, and then I'll run a cable down and plug it in, and that'll be it. So that's kind of the build. So I still have to, I'll take it down tomorrow and then uh, stain it. I've come up with a design scheme here so that everything that I'm building, right, has stains in it or dyes. I use dyes, not stains. So this again is all like reclaimed wood from pallets mainly. And here I wasn't really resurfacing them, so it's kind of rough. But one of the nice things about like doing these like darker colors to stain it is that you can see the domino here, right? The domino's all kind of messed up looking. Like if you look at this is the first thing I built. Like there's a lot of stuff here that's kind of messed up. Like I just totally hacked away at it. Like there's a domino hole there that I didn't realize that, oh, it's not going to work. So, things like that. And then like even here with the still following along with the color scheme, right? So I tried to make a very unified color scheme just because I think it makes it look pleasant and enjoyable. Even like the workbench, which I built this workbench back in like 1998 and just modified it this year for that. So even like this cart over here has that same like color scheme. This one and the workbench, they all have that kind of blue and natural top. Because I think it's nice if you have I feel that if you have a nicely coordinated or at least a nicely attempt to be a nice looking workspace, it just makes your time more pleasurable, right? Just like a cigar lounge. If your cigar lounge is nice, it's a nice place to be. Let me get some more wood here. I probably should cut these boards down, but just let them burn. All right. George says, you ran out of scraps? I mean, no, there's still a whole, like 2 crates worth of scraps left. And I've got these bigger pieces now that I'm burning. But, now we're into like pine. I could do the yakishugi thing. Actually, we're going to try that. So yakisugi is this technique in Japan where they burn the wood. We talked about this one episode where I was playing it with the traditional cedar. Let me do a little bit of that now. And they say that once you do the coating on it, it actually makes it kind of weatherproof. So this is pine. Uh-oh. Losing control now. I wish I could grab this end that I'm not using, but okay, I think that's good. So, kind of yakisugi-ish. Oh, I'm going to put that down out of reach. Devin says that looks great. I'm jealous. Well, I'm pretty bad at it. Like I'm pretty hackish at it. Like I've made a lot of I've been doing these shop projects because I need to have some working things to work with, but also like because I need to improve skills, right? To build skills, and so like I've made some pretty major hacks through it all. Like even like this chair is like all hacked together because it's like you make mistakes and you just kind of have to figure out how to like compensate for that and try to hide it. Devin says maybe weather shift the fan to get a good. So you know, I wonder about that. But here's the thing. So like the casing, I tried to make pretty tight, but it's there's going to be a small like 2 millimeter gap. However, I don't know if that's necessarily a problem, and here's why. Because the idea is that the fan is going to be blowing, it's going to be pulling air through the filters, right? So it's going to come through the filters and in and into the fan and then blow out. And that way I don't have to, because you know sometimes when you put a fan out, it's for a while, it gets all the dust, it starts clinging to it, looks all like it looks all nasty. Well, this way it should filter the air before it hits the fan, and you'll have to replace the filters like you know maybe 2-3 times a year, and then so I think that under this particular scenario, it should be all right because we're pulling. If we were pushing, and we would have resistance from the filters probably, and then there would be some kind of like back pressure. I think that would be that. I think that's be more. But I do have some weather strip in case that we and you know we're gonna run it and see what happens, and maybe we'll have to do that. I don't know. I don't have the answers. I'm just these are just you know theories of a guy that's never done this kind of work. Theories of a guy pretending to know what he's doing. That's really what it's about. Craig says, I wasn't looking at the screen and I thought that I was using pizza. Oh, you mean with the fire? Oh yeah. So again, these big pieces have burned down already. So we're gonna have to put this in there. Like that's still a fairly solid piece, right? Oh, that's still this piece of pine is still kind of. I could probably harvest that out of there. Oh, it's still. It is a bit charred now on the other side. Oh yeah, yeah. Nah, but I should stir. Like we got a lot of heat. Like the coals are hot, man, hot. But we want fire, right? We want fire. What I also have are these chunks of oak. Yeah, more oak. Let's get more oak going on there. Okay, that should be good. Oh, you didn't see that? Sorry. Can never see this thing while I'm working with this new configuration. George says the only thing that bad about those bulky masks is how hard they make it to. No doubt, no doubt. Well, it's been a cold winter, so I haven't smoked while doing the woodworking thing as much because maybe in the summertime we'll have the windows open and the doors open and we can do that better. Craig says, when I had a box fan filter, I just duct taped all the filters in place. Yeah, I mean, that's totally the simple way to do it. I just wanted to do it the hard way. You know, and like I said, it's also about like trying to figure out how to like I've used a lot of these shop projects to do to improve hopefully improve skills so that when I make the things that I'm interested in making, I won't be as bad. Like I won't make as I'll have a better understanding of the techniques to approach them. That's really kind of why I've done all these shop projects. And like, for example, that filter box, it's made with plywood, but the plywood, none of the panels of plywood, well, yeah, none of the panels of the plywood, whether it's the bottom or the top of the fan housing, or if it's the box that everything is mounted to, none of those are from like single sheets, right? Like those panels, I didn't cut out of single sheets. Those panels are actually glued together from smaller cutoffs. So I just kind of had all these cutoffs. I'm like, I need to utilize these. So I just kind of did like a puzzle thing where I'm trying to figure, okay, where do I put this puzzle? Like where do I, these two are dimensionally the same, and I need so much more length, and I can cut it. So what I did is I used the domino to reference them together and connect them, glued them up, and then dimension them down. So I mean, I do have a couple sheets of larger plywood, like 4x8, but I'm saving those for like, I still need to build a couple more carts for some of their equipment. So I'm like, I need to save it for those panels rather than, these smaller projects that I can put together pieces for it. Devin says that's what he does now. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's a great way to go. I think it's a great way to go. I have been wondering though if this Corsi Rosenthal style of filters, if I have it open on the other side because I was thinking maybe I can drop in an activated charcoal filter there, because if I wanted to, then maybe I could put an activated charcoal, and then I could maybe then it might work for cigar smoke, like during the winter time. Because the idea is that maybe the MERV filters will filter out the smoke particulates, and the activated charcoal will help to refresh the air as it gets recirculated. And I think these fans are a good 400, 600 CFM. I don't really remember. I didn't really pay that close attention to the CFM rating, mainly because there's bigger fans that move more air, but they cost like, exponentially more. Like, this is $20 at Target or whatever. So the other ones, are like 80 and $100 up. So it's like, oh, I'm trying to do it as cost efficiently as possible. So this cigar, we need to rate it, don't we? That's what we do here. So wrapper here. Fragrance was kind of manurish. Cold draw was pretty loose. I'm just gonna say like 8 for that. Flavor wise, so here's the thing, like flavor. I mean, it's perfectly fine. It's good. It's a solid good plus, right? So I'm gonna say 7.5. The body is kind of a light medium. Again, they're a little bit brighter. I think 7.5 as well. And I think we're kind of getting, well, we're not to the second third yet. But yeah. So not bad. Not bad. George says, you have now reached the portion of the show where your cigar completely it just might, because it's starting to go underneath the wrapper. I should probably hit it with some more flame. Ruben's with us. What's going on, man? Smoky. Well, thank you. I'm glad somebody realizes the truth of the world. I think I should touch it up and get around with it. Yeah, construction's a little bit strange. It feels a little bit strange. The acidity, the brightness has increased. I wish we get. I can't wait to get a little bit warmer. Like I would like a few more degrees warmth at night, so it'd be nice and pleasant outside. But it's not too bad. Like I am wearing a t-shirt and I'm wearing a fleece vest and then this sweatshirt top. But I'm wearing shorts. I'm actually wearing shorts out, so it's not terrible, terrible. Oh, you like the smoke, Ruben? Okay, all right, all right. It's all right. This is the 60 ring gauge from in Maduro from Spartan Cigar Lounge in Elkton, Maryland. Actually, the brightness right now in these last couple of puffs, the brightness seems to be more accentuated. I feel like it's also getting a little bit hot, so I should probably wait a few moments, put it down for a bit, maybe let it chill. Although, in the moments that we were talking about the fan, the filter, I wasn't puffing on it, so it did have a moment, quite a few moments to relax and to be chilled. Devin says awfully low humidity at 72 here. Oh my. 72 would be all right. Like I would like that. I think we're down in the low 60s tonight. Yeah, there's definitely the sharpness has increased, and not in a good way. It's not very. It's got a sharpness on the tongue that I'm not finding to be very enjoyable. So how's you guys' weeks been? Anything happened this past week for you guys? I haven't done. What have I done? I haven't. I feel like I always feel like I haven't done too much. Oh, that's what I did. So on Friday, I was at George Nakashima Woodworkers, and then I came back on Saturday, and then but when on the way up there, I mentioned that I went to Hearn Hardwoods, and I ran into Rick Hearn, the owner, and I saw him that morning, and he on Friday morning, he was heading out, and I was like, what's going on? He's like, I'm heading to Harrisburg to go to this artisanal guitar show. I was like, oh. He's like some of the best. Like Rick Hearn has an amazing guitar collection, and part of Hearn Hardwoods is about selling uh, instrument makers wood for their instruments, soundboards, necks, all the pieces for it, right? And they can find really beautiful stuff and really nice sounding tones. So because of this, Rick's got this exquisite collection of like guitars that I didn't even understand. When he showed him his collection a few weeks ago, when I was up there, I had no idea what was going on. Like I was like, this is like stuff that I've never. I mean, I've heard of Martin. Martin's like, as far as I know, Martin is like the creme de la creme of guitar manufacturers. Like the Martin custom shop is like the highest level. Evidently, it's not. Evidently, there is a much greater echelon of guitar makers and instrument makers, luthiers out there. And he was like, well, he's told me about it. I was like, oh, I'm going to come and check it out. because he was like, there might be this $300,000 guitar. That's like $300,000. That guitar was not there. However, the guy that made that $300,000 guitar last year had a guitar that he just made for a client that paid him $150,000 for a guitar. And now I don't know anything about guitars. Like I really don't. Like I don't. I mean, I can appreciate them, but I don't know anything about them to like know like what makes. But when you see this guitar, it's beautiful. It's really got beautiful designs and everything is amazing on it. And now they have these things called sound ports. So you know that at the front of guitar, acoustic guitar, there's a hole. Sound emanates from the hole. Evidently now these guys have come up with designs where there's sound holes, sound ports on the tops, the sides of the guitar, facing up. And John Monteleone, who makes these guitars, has a door on these ports so you can tune it. And this guitar was $150,000. And I was like, whoa. But this ballroom was filled with all these vendors, luthiers making beautiful, beautiful guitars, both acoustic and electric. And I was just like, wow, this is cool. Like it's amazing. But interesting to see, right? So there was a vendor there by the name of well, the first vendor I met was a girl named Alexa from a place called Duke of Pearl, and these are people that they're actually based here in Maryland, and close to Waldorf, and they work with suppliers in Indonesia where they make mother of pearl panels that you can use for inlays, right? You see these inlays where people do with mother of pearl. Well, these are the guys that supply the mother of pearl, and there's so many varietals and grades of it. I was like, wow, she's showing me all this stuff, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And basic white mother of pearl starts at like $20 for a panel like this, and then it goes up exponentially from there, depending on, and so many. And what they're doing is they're taking the basically like a mollusk, right, the shell, and you know how inside of an oyster, if you look on the inside of those, it's kind of got that mother of pearl, right? That kind of like that pearlescent looking skin. Well, these guys basically will slice into these little slivers this mother of pearl, and then they'll lay it. They'll not inlay it, but just lay it into a sheet and form a sheet out of it. And you're just like, wow, it's really, really cool stuff. Okay, so we're having more issues with the cigar. Like it's burning under the wrapper. Like the wrapper has stopped combusting. Like it's not cooperating very well. But we're still going. It's still a big cigar. It is getting colder out here though. I think Tony's at our friend's house. How are you guys doing out there, Tony? Is it pretty cold out there? And did we see George Shem? I did not. I don't recall. He's been, if he's here, he's been very quiet because George is normally outside on his patio. I have not. Oh, we did not see him tonight. What's going on with that guy? I hope he's all right. Or maybe it's spring break. Is it spring break yet? I think I need to get some smaller sticks to stoke the fire a little bit, get a little more flame going on here. We just adjust it so you can see the flame action. So right in here, we've got these are like wood pallets, oak pallets. But I have some cherry blossom cut off from the cherry blossom tree that are pretty small pieces. Oh, oh, smells like cherry blossom. All right, good. Good, 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 good. Tony says, I'm in my lounge in Pennsylvania. Oh, Georgetown is at Easter break at the beach. Oh, nice, nice. Oh, you didn't make it down to the guys, huh? Got a lot of crosswind now. Oh, yeah, the fire is going nice. Look at this. This cherry is doing very nice. Cherry blossom. All right, that works. That works. Yeah, it's got this weird flavor. Like, I think we've lost a step towards the end of the second third. So let's see, we were at 7.5. Maybe we'll go down to 7.25. I think we're still same for the body, 7.5. So how's everyone's cigars coming along? You know, Tony's coming along pretty well. Craig, how's that tatuaje doing for you? And so, Devin, I'm curious, since you're down in Florida, I have the impression that everybody that lives in Florida has a pool that is screened in. So is that true for you as well? And Rusty, if you're still out there, are you also on spring break this week? Yeah, see, the burn is really kind of strange. And it's kind of like this kind of a bite on the tongue. Oh, and George, speaking of which, George Brightman, I was curious to know, like, how was your trip to New Orleans? George was down at the PCA, the Premium Cigar Association trade show. Everybody was out there in New Orleans. Looked like a good time. I imagine that there must have been some talk about the tariffs. 10% right now? They think that's going to happen, at least from Nicaragua. And are the tariffs applying to all cigars now across the spectrum? Honduras, Dominican, wherever they're coming from? While I was in Pennsylvania, I went by this woodworking shop called WTB Woodworking. And it's interesting because, like, here in Baltimore, we have a Woodcraft, which is kind of a locally owned, but also kind of a franchise operation. So and then the other one it's called Rockler down in Fairfax, Virginia. So those are the places I've been to, and I've been to a lot of the Woodcrafts. And so they all have a certain way of doing things. So it's interesting to go to like an independent store because they have a different variety of products. But while I was there, they had this. There's something called a domino from Festool, right? And the complementary tool that's similar to the domino is something called the lamello. They have a lamello called P2, and the dealer, with him and I were talking, and and he said, yeah, he was talking about the tariffs, and he was like, yeah, LaMelo just sent him on Friday when I was there, or on Saturday, no, Friday when I was there, he said LaMelo just sent him a notice that Monday, this past Monday, the price of the P2 was jumping from $1,600 to $1,875. So a $275 jump overnight. And it was because a reaction to the tariffs, right, to cover the cost. And he had an, and I don't really have a need. Like the LaMelo is a very particular, it's kind of like this. If those of you familiar with biscuit cutters, it's like a biscuit cutter, very similar in the way that it cuts, but it uses these connectors that go into the mortise that allows you to connect things quickly and easily and align everything. The guys that I know that build cabinets, they use that in conjunction with their domino. They think it's really great. But if you don't do that, it's not necessary. I don't know if it necessarily has much application. But I was like, oh man. I went on one of the forums and I was like, if you're interested in buying a P2, you should buy it this weekend because it's going to go up on Monday. And it's always interesting to see like people's conversations because it's like there's a whole crowd of people that are very much like, I don't know if they're in, I can't tell if they're in denial that tariffs are causing a price increase because they're like, oh no, that's not true. I was like, well, that came from LaMelo directly. I don't know. I said, well, if you want to buy it, you should buy it now or pay more on Monday. Craig says that the tat is done. Seems to be much more nicotine in the tat compared to my others. Oh, I wonder if that, yeah. I mean, it's got that heavier character than especially the cigars that you told us you were smoking. Devin says screens are ubiquitous in Florida. Without screens, you get snakes and bugs and alligators, and that's just my in-laws. Oh, that's funny. That's good. Oh, we saw that one. Okay. George says, Craig, I'm curious, how old are the cigars? He's normally lighting up cigars that are at least 15 years old, from what he tells us. Oh, you had to cancel. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I thought that. Hmm. I mean, really, the reason to go to New Orleans is for the etouffee and the gumbo. That's really etouffee. My cousin was down there a few years ago, and he was like heading down there. I was like, hey, man, you're driving? He's like, yeah. When you're down there, man, can you go by to Lafayette and get some boudin? He came back with like all these packages of boudin. I was like, dude, you're amazing. And if you're not familiar with boudin, boudin is like a sausage they stuff with like pork and rice. And it's hella good. I called up one of my friends who lives down there in Dexter, and I was like, hey, Dex, how am I supposed to eat this? Right? He's like, just cook it up, man. And I'm like, well, like, yeah, you say just cook it up because this is what you live with. I mean, but how do you? He's like, yeah, just heat it up how you normally heat sausage, and eat it with saltine crackers. I was like, saltine crackers? Like, yeah, we just eat it with crackers. Like, what? So I ran over to the grocery store, bought some saltine crackers, and I was like, it's actually pretty darn good. George says tariffs were certainly top of the mind for many attendees, but if the it feels as if the mood at the moment is mostly wait and see. I mean, and yeah, I think I don't know if you ever read Skip Martin's post, but Skip said something similar to that about the tariffs, and I've been taking that kind of approach with coffees that there's talk about the tariffs and tariffs will impact pricing in some way, but until you submit the coffee or in my case coffee to CBP for clearance, and then they'll assess the tariff, and so it's just kind of waiting to see like how much will they actually assess on the product. And in the coffee world, we've been experiencing over the past year or so, a dramatic escalation in price. So, I mean, I'm paying now per pound at least twice what we used to pay a year ago. And, so tariffs on top of that, there's no way around absorbing that. Like if tariffs affect the price of coffee, it has to go up commensurate with the price, with the tariff. Craig says also the US dollar has fallen quite a bit recently, especially to the euro. Oh, we had such nice exchange rates with the euro for a while. I remember when I first went to France back in like 2008. I wanted to go check out this restaurant called Arpège. And I was a chef by the name of Alain Passard, right? And so I went to Arpège. And Arpège, if you're not familiar, it's over in the 7th, and it is a very fancy restaurant. All like haute cuisine and like super fine dining and mostly vegetables. You're like, and yeah, vegetables. Like what? And at the time, the exchange rate was poor enough that my meal, like, I was there in February of 2008. I charged that meal to my credit card. I was paying that meal until like May. I was like, gosh, this meal cost a lot. So with the exchange rate, it was like $800. Like, hey, good God, I'm gonna have to eat at McDonald's after this, or just get falafel. I mean, I wonder the concern is that, like, at least on a larger scale, I think that China has a lot of our bonds, and what if they decide to cash them in? It's like, oh, that could be a problem. Gotta adjust the flame here. So Cigar is coming along. Not terribly exciting. I get some more wood. Oops. It's not giving me enough heat. Okay. I think that will give us some nice warmth for a little while. Tony, do you know if George went down to which beach? Did he go to Ocean City? Because it's kind of chilly. Doesn't seem too pleasant. There we go. A little bit better. A little better. Now it's catching. It's always nice when the wood is nice and dry. Craig says, I'm really oh, man. I know what I want to do. I want to take this. I want to take my coffee, let it burn. Maybe get a little smell of coffee now. Now, one thing about this mug, it's a REI mug. It's already kind of cool. So it doesn't, I mean, I'm not drinking it as fast probably as I should have, but George says, maybe, but nearly 20 years later, you still recalled, oh, no doubt, no doubt. It was good. It was good, but man, ooh, $800 for vegetables. That was a little bit, I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Craig says, should run out and get some weed to, why not? Why not? It can only help. Oh, yeah, that's not bad. Not bad, not bad, not bad. It's doing well. Well enough, at least, for the moment. And George says, tonight the no doubt. I mean, for a house cigar, I mean, if you just want to have a cigar for your patrons to have a very affordable price point or very friendly price point and a cigar that's okay, this is okay. Like it's lasting for a good while. Like we're, when we were about an hour 13 into the show, I was like, oh, is it going to last long enough? But it looks like it could last a good while. It's just got notes that I don't necessarily jive with, right? George says, sorry, Craig, didn't mean for it to go. We're not too political here. We're not too political. It's interesting. Like I participate in this. I read this one forum that's called the Festool Owners Group, and they got their own forum. It's actually a site that's sponsored by Festool itself, and they have a very strict no politics policy, which I find very enjoyable. Right, like the guys that are on the group, they're very much experienced in their fields. Like they're all like a lot of them are professionals or serious hobbyists, so they're very well experienced and the quality of the information is very high. The quality of discussion is very high. I mean, unless I talk, and then it's very like mundane. But nobody engages in the politics thing, which is really nice because it's like because you go to I read some other forums and they're always delving into the politics. Like that's it. If we're talking about wood, oh, right on, right on. George is heading out. Good to see you, George. Always good to see you. Have a great night. Devin says, though, that it does sound like a good time. Whew, man. I gotta say, it's reaching a point now where I feel like it's a bit of a chore. It's a bit tedious. Like I'm smoking it. I'm continuing to smoke, not necessarily because I enjoy it, but just because I want to see where it's going, and because we still have some time. But however, if I was just smoking on my own, I probably would have put it down by now. Craig says, "Oops, forgot everything closed today because of the holiday." Oh, what's the holiday tomorrow in Canada? Here in America, we don't know what happens in other parts of the world. We're not too concerned about that. Which is why when my nieces and other people had off, they had a holiday recently, and I was like, "Well, what's the holiday?" And they were like, "Oh, we have the day off because of the Eid." And I was like, "The Eid? Really?" And I was like, "The Muslim holiday?" I was like, "Oh, I didn't know I didn't know that America had progressed to the point that we would celebrate holidays for Islamic holidays." Like, oh, all right, I dig it. I mean, I've been to other countries where they celebrated the Eid and it was a holiday and it was like completely empty. You're like, oh, this is brilliant. Like I was in Manila one year during Eid, and like if you've ever been to Southeast Asia in general is like this, but like a lot of the cities, Jakarta, Manila, they're all like the traffic is insane. Like you're just like, oh my god, man, it's like it just takes forever to get anywhere. But this one day, man, empty, and I was like, we were going all over the city. I was like, this is so brilliant. It only took like 15 minutes. Like this is brilliant. Where else can we go today? Oh, Easter, Good Friday is. Oh, that's right. Oh, really? Yeah, we're too capitalistic to have days off for Jesus. Yeah, Fridays. This whole like Easter Lenten season. I'm Catholic, so I've been trying to observe the abstinence from meat on Fridays. I have been somewhat successful. Like I think the first Friday, I totally forgot about it. It was like, and then my mom that afternoon she was like, "Did you eat meat?" I was like, "Oh man!" And then last week, I knew about it. I knew about it in the morning, and I was like, "Man, if I remember, then I can't." And I'm like, oh. But if I forget, then okay, well, I forgot. You know what I'm saying? I was at my cousin's house. She was like, "Let's go to dinner." I was like, "All right, where are we gonna go?" "Let's go to dim sum." I was like, "Dim sum? You want to go to dim sum? It's Friday." She's like, "It's okay." I was like, "Really?" Like if I know that's like it's like okay, so I did have a pork shoot. I did have that, but we did have fish. So I was like, okay, we had a lot of fish. So I was like, all right, and that was for dinner. And I was already hesitant because I was like, I had already spent the entire day avoiding meat. So I was like, oh man. But the dim sum was so good. I was like, okay, okay, all right, fine. Rusty says unused snow days. Oh, nice. Wait, did you say something? Oh, here we go. We have Easter Monday off, but that's because it's a give back day. Oh, okay, gotcha, for the snow days, gotcha. And Devin says, I thought we were making Jesus. I thought we were too, but evidently not. We only want to invoke Christ. We don't want to live as Christ. Living as Christ is just too difficult. You got to be nice to people, treat them well, treat them as equals. Can't have that. So coming down to the end here, we're making, we are making America. We are making it. We are making it. Craig says today is Monday, Thursday. Oh, Moundy Thursday. No meat today. Did I? I have not heard of Moundy Thursday. Is it called Moundy because they're on the mount? What did I eat today? I had shrimp pasta for dinner. Oh no, I totally violated that. I made chicken salad for lunch. I got the Sam's Club chicken yesterday and made that into my chicken salad. I never make chicken salad the same way, twice. I just end up never doing it. Either I don't have the same ingredients, or I basically what I do is I look around and see what I have and just toss in. So today I was looking around and say I should get some vegetables. So there's some onions, some celery. I thought about putting apples, but then I was like, oh, I'm going to put Old Bay seasoning instead of apples. I think that might clash. I probably should have done it. And then I use two types of mayo. I use Hellman's mayo and Kewpie mayo and French's yellow mustard. Should have put more salt. Could have had a better pronunciation of flavor that way. Craig says, but I just had Jamaican patties. Well, you, you know, it's a good thing. Yeah, I can't say no to Jamaican patties. But it's weird. Like some of the things I get introduced to, like outside of America. Like there's a company called the Original Jamaican Patties in Manila, and my cousin introduced me to that many years ago, back in the '90s when we were younger. And every time I'm there, I'm always like, I gotta go get these Jamaican patties. They're really good. That's where I learned. And then like another thing that I always found in Manila that I can never find, like I can't get it here in Baltimore, at least not as far as I know. But Puerto Rican mofongo. For a few years in Manila, there was a woman from Puerto Rico who had opened a restaurant and sold mofongo there. Now, every time I was in Manila, there was like 3 or 4 years, I was like always getting mofongo. I was like, I gotta go get the mofongo. And if you've never had it, basically it's plantains, like green plantains, that they mash and mix they mash it into a ball and they mix it with like chicharron, like the fried pork. Oh, so good. Rusty knows Maundy Thursday, the washing of the feet. Oh, see, I'm what in Spanish you would say católico mal. So I'm the bad Catholic. All right, that's enough. I can't. It's already falling apart on my palate. Oh, feet washing. Okay, feet wash. Ah, yes. Okay. But was it John the Baptist that cleaned his feet? Is that right? Am I remembering correctly? All right. I'm going to say that we had a downgrade to good 7. And we'll say 725. So 1437.75 plus 1425. Now, Burning Draw kept going. I can't really say that it was bad, so I'm going to say 9. Excellent for the burn and draw. Consistency, I'm going to say 7. So just good. Overall, maybe 7.5. I'll be a little bit generous there, 7.5. So that gives us a total score for this cigar of 75.5. So, not certainly not the greatest cigar we've ever had on the show, but not totally terrible. Rusty said that Mom said your priest friend in Pahala will be doing that for certain people in the congregation. Oh, wow. That's amazing. You know, Rusty's mom lives in Pahala, which is the region of the Big Island, the southern region of the Big Island called Ka'u. And one of my great friends from college, this guy named Bill Alvarez. I know him as Bill. I know him as Bill, right? And when I first met him in college, he was a monk, a Christian brother, had the whole like brown cassock and everything. And I remember that we became really great friends, and we've been friends ever since. And so he actually had left the church for a while. He left the church for a few years, lived as a secular person, and then decided to he had a renewed calling, and he went back into and became into the priesthood, left the order and joined the priesthood. And I remember when he got ordained, and I was trying to get out to Hawaii for his ordination, but I wasn't able to make it. And he was in Kauai for a few years, and then he got assigned to Pahala. So he's actually the pastor of 2 towns, 2 parishes. The where Rusty's mom lives in Pahala, as well as the town next to it called Na'alehu, and he actually lives at the rectory in Na'alehu. And so when I was there last time, I stayed at the rectory, and here's how like I said to him, "Hey man, you mind if I bring a girl over?" He's like, "Yeah, of course, you can do whatever you want." I was like, man, to bring a girl to the rectory, what kind of blessing is that going to be, See, again, back to the bad Catholic. But years ago, but everyone there knows him, of course, as Father William, not Father Bill, not just Bill, right? And I told him one time, I was like, dude, this is kind of weird to have you. Am I going to have to call you Father? Like, to me, that's a bit strange. And he's like, no, 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 you have to call me that. I'm like, okay, good. I'm not going to call you Father. But, it's kind of fun, and you get to play around in the church. Like, hey, man, how do you ring the bell? He's like, you want to try it? It's like, yeah, let me try to ring the bell. And I think you're supposed to ring the bell at like certain times of the day, but I don't know. It's maybe like 10 a.m. It's like, supposed to ring the bell. It's like, all right, ring the bell. Small world. I know it's such a so interesting that that was the case. But when I first met him, I remember thinking to myself, I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe this is God's way of bringing me closer to him. I was like, okay, that's probably a good thing. Not too long after that, there we were, a couple of us with Bill at the strip club. We dragged him to a strip club one night. He didn't want to go, but like, we're going to strip club. Nothing like dangling dollar bills. it's like, uh, it's like, oh, I thought I was going to be closer to God. I'm going to be burning in hell for this. But he did not stray. He did not stray. He was a good Catholic, a good servant of the Lord. So, but I haven't been to strip club in many years. It's been a long, long time. Craig said we had the bishop wash children's feet. Oh wow, that's cool. I tried to get my girlfriend to wash my feet one time, and like that did not go over very well. Devin says, "Hey, beautiful, my I tried. I was swinging for the fences on that one. I was like, oh, I couldn't. I didn't make it happen. I was not able to make it happen. Plus, I don't know even if I could, I don't know if I would have. Like that would maybe it would have been weird, right? Like Maybe can I, ask him, borrow your vestments? That's terrible, man. That's terrible. Craig says that there's also some token cash presents, but that's an England thing. Ah, okay, okay. You have to give fealty, of course. That's always important. Yeah, there it is. There it is. All right, so I guess that's going to be good for today. We've got our cigar here, the Spartan 60 ring gauge in Maduro, 75.5. It had like I said, it had very minerally brighter notes to it that I don't always groove with. So keep that in mind as you consider what I had to say about it. Um, Construction was pretty good overall. Towards the end, it started towards the very, very end, it started to get a little bit fall apart. Um, yeah, but otherwise, like I said earlier, it's a cigar that at a very reasonable price point, 625 or so, and if it's something where I wasn't necessarily going to smoke, or if I just wanted to hang out with people and just kind of smoke something and hang out and chat, that it perfectly fine for that. But and not necessarily one that you would have that I would choose again for an experience. All right. Hope that makes sense. Hope that makes sense. All right, Devin. All right, Raven. Thank you very much. Yes, so that's going to be it for this week. We're back in next week. Thanks for hanging out. Always good to see all of you. Back again next week, Thursday at 8 p.m. for another cigar and coffees. So hope you have a wonderful week out there and see you next time.